They sound honest.
Social Security's Office of the Inspector General says there are third-party firms that can help you obtain Social Security disability benefits.
For people who got a stimulus check in March based on their 2019 return, but were owed more after filing a 2020 return. And we finally have an answer for recipients of Veterans Affairs benefits who don't normally file taxes.
October 1st, 2022. So the Social Security Administration will send out the payments the Friday before. In September, this means SSI recipients will get paid on September 1st and September 3rd.
So $800 is on the way, everybody. You may be eligible to receive an inflation payment of $800. And now this is the latest information on the fourth stimulus check. Millions of taxpayers can expect to receive a big bonus tax rebate for their state and city. It's a lot of details being released, so I want you to continue watching this to not miss out on the most important stimulus news, because we have a ton of news to cover. So here is the news. The eligible taxpayers can be eligible for a tax rebate of $800 in the bank accounts by the end of the year. The South Carolina Department of Revenue said that rebates will be issued and sent out to eligible taxpayers who file their tax return by October 17. And according to state officials, they have already begun issuing rebates, and eligible recipients will receive it by the end of the year. Those who chose to file their returns after the original October 17 extension deadline have until October 15 to also end October 15 and February 15, 2023 of next year to get the returns in order to be eligible for a rebate. Now, eligible taxpayers who file between October 18th and February 15 of next year will receive the checks in later this year. You receive your 2021 refund by direct deposit. The South Carolina Department of Revenue said it will use the same bank account to issue your rebate by direct deposit, unless you notified them of a change in banking information by November 1st. State officials have noted that you will receive less than your calculated rebate amount if you had an outstanding individual income tax bill. That debt could be from your 2021 return or previous years, if the balance you owed was less than your rebate. It will be subtracted from your rebate and you will be receiving the remaining amount. Also, 6 aldermen and Richmond, Virginia mayor have already agreed to a 5-cent rebate per $100 of assessed property for citizens. Currently, citizens pay around $1.20 per $100 of property, but with the new initiative, they would pay $1.15. So the mayor told reporters that this means residents with a home assessed at $350,000 and a real estate tax bill of $4,200 will receive a one-time rebate of $175. Now, they added that at this point, permanently cutting the tax rate would affect our ability to provide basic services to our residents, to our community. It also means we would not be able to pick up and keep up with the growing maintenance needs of our roads, parks, and libraries. And when asked why the city didn't offer a large rebate, considering that assessments had increased 13% this year, the managing director told the city council that tax rebates are to be funded from budget surpluses. And some council members had already called for an across-the-board reduction in the city's tax rate. Folks, the IRS is looking to hire as many as 700 people and to help out taxpayer assistance centers across the country, including some in Alabama. So the agency has said that the jobs are in addition to the more than 4,000 people recently hired to fill customer service representative positions and will instead be stationed at walk-in sites in every state. The taxpayer experience officer told reporters that it's an important priority to provide more service at the IRS for the upcoming filing season. We are working to have more than 270 walk-in sites properly staffed to provide the help to taxpayers they need and deserve. This will be the first time in a decade our walk-in sites will be fully staffed. And the available positions are for the IRS. And now the White House has recently said that President Biden intends to nominate some people and a former budget official and a private sector leader to run the IRS as the agency prepares for a makeover. Now, these people served under Barack Obama and George Bush, and so, if confirmed, it will oversee the agency's plan to spend $80 billion over the next 10 years.
On that with all of you. Thank you very much.
Absolutely, and thank you for your leadership on housing issues. So, Senator Ernst.
Thank you, Madam Chairwoman, and thank you as well, Undersecretary Torres Small. Thank you very much for the great work that you are doing, and for, again, the other witnesses that will be coming forward shortly as well. As some of you may know, I grew up on a small farm in southwest Iowa, live less than 10 miles from where I grew up today, and my family continues to engage in farming in Montgomery County, and so I do know and understand firsthand the hard work that goes into farming and ranching and the day in and day out work just to provide food and critical goods for our state, our country, and all of those around the globe as well. No question that supporting our rural communities is very, very important to me, and I think to every member on this community. So I'd like to discuss a couple of issues that have come up, and we're really seeing an impact in this harvest time this year. As you know, our farmers are facing very high propane prices as they're working. We're in corn harvest right now. We've been through bean harvest. And
to galvanize billions of dollars in new investments. The challenges facing our hemisphere in the months and years ahead are significant. The climate crisis, food insecurity, economic inequality, corruption, and gender-based violence. When I think about these challenges, I know, and I am certain, they will require new and innovative coalitions.
California's constitutional limit, as set by the voter-approved proposition, this essentially restricts the amount of tax revenue the state can spend while giving lawmakers options on what to do with the leftover funds. This is including giving it back to taxpayers in the form of rebate. The state has only hit the GAN limit twice since the bill passed back in 1979. In unveiling his sweeping $286 billion budget proposal, Gavin Newsom noted that his office projected a surplus of around $2.6 billion over the constitutional limit. As people throughout the country face increasing costs due to global inflation, Gavin Newsom announced an $18 billion inflation relief package to get money to the pockets of Californians. Gavin Newsom said, "We enacted the most comprehensive economic stimulus program in the nation last year, getting billions of dollars in immediate relief to millions of Californians. But many folks are still struggling, especially with high costs due to inflation. So we're leveraging this historic surplus to get money into the pockets of Californians. This inflation relief will help offset the higher costs that Californians are facing right now and provide support to those still recovering from the crisis." Additionally, California's minimum wage is projected to increase to around $15 an hour for all workers on January 1st next year. The accelerated increase is required by provision in the state's existing minimum wage law when inflation exceeds 7%. The crisis has resulted in persistent supply chain disruptions, and labor market frictions have driven inflation to its highest rate in 40 years. The wage increase will benefit millions of people, millions of households that are struggling to keep pace with the highest rise of inflation in decades. For years, the state minimum wage has increased steadily while inflation numbers remain modest. Gavin Newsom created the biggest tax rebate in American history, expanding direct payments to families, with $9 billion in stimulus payments delivered to middle-class Californians and families. What do you think about this, folks? Tell me in the comments down below. Pennsylvania Governor Tom Wolf that he urged the Republican-led General Assembly to pass legislation that would send $2,000 stimulus checks to many Pennsylvanians, making $80,000